Okay, with Jim Barker joining us now, our football analyst, there's a lot of roads we can go down, Jim. If you don't mind, we've got NFL Week 18, we got the Natty Monday night, and we got some big CFL news today. Bo Levi taking a 50% pay cut to stay in the Hammer. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with the CFL, because I don't think we get enough, that the CFL gets enough of. This is a really interesting time. I mean, we got one more week left before that January 15th date when payments are due. Now, you said Taylor Cornelius has been cut. I've heard it's just that's still hasn't happened for sure. I don't know if it's because they're going down the McLeod-Bethel-Thompson route and waiting to see what happens there, because he's going to have some options. There are some teams that'll be interested in him, no question. Obviously, Hamilton comes off the board by, coming to an agreement with Bo Levi, which I was happy to see. I think that's a good move for both sides. But Ottawa, we don't know what they're going to do with Mazzoli, and are they going to go after McLeod? Tommy Condell, the new offensive coordinator, had him in Toronto, so knows him well. Obviously, Edmonton has arisen as which shocked me. I'm going to be honest with you, Rod. That one shocked me that Edmonton was going to do that. I mean, obviously Cornelius, they have to make the move on him from a money standpoint. It'll cost them $100,000 more if they don't cut him by next Monday, because he has $100,000 on Monday, and then he has a guarantee of $100 on his salary. And I had originally thought that $100 could be counted as his $100, but it can't. So if they pay him the $100, they still owe him another $100 on the guarantee that went through the last collective bargaining agreement. So, it's an interesting time, and McLeod-Bethel-Thompson kind of throws an interesting wrench into the entire thing as to what's going to happen. Our team's going to be wanting to go on Drew Brown and putting their eggs in that basket. In Ottawa, you have Sean Burke going into his third year, basically 4 wins a year. It's important for him to win. Does he want to go with a Drew Brown or McLeod-Bethel-Thompson that's a little more set in terms of what he's done in this league? The more interesting one is Edmonton. I mean, they've gone down the Trey Ford path. Ron Lancaster used to tell me, if you choose to take a Canadian quarterback, you're going to have a lot of decisions made for you. I think it could be a potential disaster if he goes out and signs him and starts off poorly with McLeod-Bethel-Thompson and Trey Ford sitting on the bench. Now, there are a lot of people in the media, a lot of people I work with that believe Trey Ford is the next great Canadian quarterback, and that he deserves an opportunity to get a chance to play. So if you don't play him, like I say, the media backlash could be quite high. So that was just really interesting to me that they were, thinking about going down that path. So I don't know. It's I find the whole situation really, really interesting. And then you have Streveler, who worked out with the Bears yesterday, who's another potential starting quarterback that could be out there. So it's interesting times.
Well, this is a direct quote because I stole it from 3downnation.com. The Edmonton Elks are releasing quarterback Taylor Cornelius, according to a report from TSN's Farhan Lalji. I got to ask you this, because you've negotiated so many contracts in your time. Why do they put these offseason bonuses in? What are their benefits? Because if I was a player, it's just setting you up to be cut ahead of the bonus. That's what we hear every winter. Why is it so important to have those in the deals?
Well, agents want them in because it forces a team's hand. If they didn't have to pay Taylor Cornelius $100,000 until April, or maybe report and pass when camp starts, he then would be kind of left in a lurch at the last minute with nowhere to go. At least what he's going to know is, I'm going to know which direction they want to go. That's why most of these quarterbacks have these January 15th dates, or high-priced players. They have these January 15th dates because they want to know, am I in this team's plans? Because if you get cut, I mean, a popular thing that used to happen in this league a lot, it's not happening as much, but they get to training camp and then they take a high-priced guy and say, listen, we want you here, but you're going to have to take a lot less money. And at that point, he can't go out and negotiate a deal because everybody's rosters are filled. So the whole, I guarantee you, there's not a GM that wants to put a payment like that in. There's not one. That all comes from the player and him wanting to know, what direction is this team going? Am I a part of their plans?
Camper27 watching writes in and says, great question. Thank you. I pride myself on that, and I've always wanted to ask somebody that knew, and you're the guy, Jim. So, hey, this Bo Levi thing, did you ever think with what he said after that playoff game that there was any doubt he was going to come back? Or was this just a formality that he would be back? You know,
well, anything you hear a player,
obviously.
Yeah, anything you hear a player or coach say immediately after a game like that, especially and with what happened to Bo Levi, I take it with a grain of salt. The bottom line is they've changed head coaches. There's major changes that have happened. Now, the guy that coached him and dealt with him is the guy who's now the head coach. So obviously they came to an agreement. I know they had some issues during the season, some things of probably the coach wondering whether or not Bo was too ingrained in his ways to be able to do things the way he needed them done, and Bo wondering whether or not he could do the things that coach was going to be asking him to do when he's done it another way for so many years. So obviously they've sat down, they've gone through it all, and I think that Bo he's smart enough to understand the problems that happened to him this year and that they can't afford to pay him what they did. Now, I'm sure he's got escalators in there and things that can get him back up in that ballpark if he has the kind of year that they need him to have. So, again, it's one of those things that I would never listen to a player right after a game because they're emotional and they say the first thing in their head. It's why I have never in my life gone on Twitter or any of those things, because I'm emotional and I'll say something that I shouldn't say. And once you have a chance to think about it, you say, wow, that's probably not the smartest thing for me to say. So I'm glad they worked it out. I think Bo Levi is good for the league. I love him at TSN, but his time's not there yet. He still has time on the field. I believe that the match with Scott, if they can get on the same page, can be fantastic. And it's going to be interesting to watch this whole season. I mean, I can't wait for training camps to get started because of all the storylines, and there's going to be so much movement in free agency, and it's going to be an exciting CFL season.
Let's take a swing at our poll question today for Kiata Group, and that is, who goes further in the NFL playoffs, the Miami Dolphins or the Dallas Cowboys? They're both good teams, but they both have their problems. Who do you think's still playing in the end, or at least goes the first?
I think Dallas. I like their defense better than I like Miami's. I think Miami's solid. Miami's got great athleticism on offense. I mean, this game tomorrow, like for Buffalo, it could very well be a win or you're out situation. You know, if the Titans, I think it's the Jaguars, or if the Jaguars happen to win, I don't know the exact scenario, but there's two teams that would have to win. They would be completely out of it. Now, you want to talk about a game that's important, the chance to win the division in Miami, the last game of the season. That's pretty exciting. And I think, honestly, Buffalo needs this. I really do. I think that Buffalo still has questions. They just play like they have questions. You watch Stephon Diggs run routes and some of his body language. You just get the feeling they have questions. They need to find themselves again. And this is the kind of game they can do that. I think the last couple of weeks they've played okay. They've played good enough to win. But this game will be to go on the road in Miami in a game they maybe have to win or they're out of the playoffs. Again, it's going to make them battle tested. And, it's to me, it's one of the best games of the year is that game that's right in your backyard. So you need to get over there.
Yeah, I go to one game a year, and I've already gone. But I'll tell you what, with the bowl games, the college football playoff semifinals, what doozies! Michigan goes to overtime, beats Alabama, and humdinger, and then Texas almost comes back against Washington. Great games. What do you think of Washington and Michigan Monday night?
Well, I think Washington losing Dylan Johnson, the running back, I think that's a huge loss for them. But that offensive line's so good. They're so athletic. It's as good a receiving core at the college level as I've seen. I mean, I know this is Farhan Lalji's team, and he loves them. And we watched them play one night when he was in the studio with us. So I got a little insight into a lot of their players. And they tried to find a way to lose it. They seemed to in the last, at the end of games, I don't know how they got themselves in that situation. They were coasting, and then all of a sudden, Texas is on the 6-yard line, with a chance to win the football game. And again, and back to the whole college playoff thing, Rod, because we talked about it, and I said Florida State. I thought, Hook, that in the way I look at the way it should be, Florida State should have been in. But the way they did it, and it came out, nobody can argue with. I mean, it was exactly what college football playoffs should be. 2 phenomenal games against teams that were very different, just like Washington, Michigan, very different teams, which we also, Rod, have to talk about Jim Harbaugh because some exciting things are going on with him that we talked about. But, it was to me, it was one of the best evenings that New Year's night of football. And I was up till 1:30 watching to the very end that I've ever seen, ever. And again, can the championship game, Washington, Michigan, match it? I think it can, because I don't think either team is the kind of team that's going to get blown out. I think both quarterbacks are efficient in different ways. Penix is such an accurate passer, and McCarthy is a guy who just can find a way to make something out of nothing. Corum is such a great running back, and now the Washington running back's out. Both offensive lines are solid. Both defenses are solid, not great, but solid. I just think it's going to be a fantastic football game.
Well, we don't have a lot of time left, but I should. You mentioned Harbaugh. I'm pulling for him. I loved him as a player. He's getting forced out of the Big Ten. That's the word I hear. In college football overall, I don't know why they just don't like him. And I know he'll go to have success in the NFL. But what's your read on the elder Harbaugh?
Where did I say he would go 3 weeks ago? Everybody was saying the Chargers. I felt like the Raiders. And now. Oh,
you said Vegas? Okay.
Yes. And now put things together. So his team's playing in Pasadena, California, at the Rose Bowl. And during that week, he gets together with Don Yee, who is, one of the premier agents in the NFL, real good friend of mine. Because I'm from Pasadena, so I know Don and have known him for years. They get together, and he's going to become Jim's agent. Now, Don Yee was also Tom Brady's agent. Tom Brady is rumored as becoming a part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. He's being rumored as being that guy. To me, it all ties together. It's like it's already a done deal that Harbaugh is going to be in Las Vegas. I think when they fired McDaniels, they also fired their GM, and I thought they want to allow Harbaugh to pick his own guy to be that if that's what he wants. I just think it's been a done deal for a while.
Done deal.
Well, this has been fantastic. And when you get these scoops, you forward them to us, not those TSN guys, Jim. You're with us every week now.
This is all not a scoop. This is strictly me.
It's a rumor.
Trying to deduce.
Yeah.
There isn't
I
one
got you.
thing.
I got you. Yeah, that's what I say too. That's what I say too. Okay, thank you, Jim. We'll see you in a week. Enjoy the games.
All right, Rod.
Our weekly chats with Jim Barker, our football analyst, brought to you by EMJ Marketing. They'll provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Look up Joe at emjmarketing.com.